The state of Ohio doesn't vote to legalize abortion. There are things that you do that when once they're done, the damage and the judgment that'll come upon you are so devastating that the very thought of those things happening cause a weakness of mind and cause a weakness of being that at times cannot be overcome. Can't be undone. Everybody knows of situations and things that they did in their life, and they think back and they think that if I only had not done that. Collectively, as the people of this state, we do not want to be responsible for the legalization of abortion in this state. You bring all of the arguments and all of the situations, and some of them I will keep my mouth shut on. I will not. I will not say, and I would not stand to tell a young lady that has been raped that she has to have that child. I will not do that. And I will catch flack for that. I believe that. I will stand by that. I will not do that. I don't believe that I have a place of any say there. But the idea that you would lay down human life on the altar of convenience, I cannot get past. Well, you see these arguments and articles as they come out to sway the hearts and the minds of people, and they'll point out a young couple. And I'm not going to bash somebody. I don't believe that you bash somebody that has done that. I don't believe that you tear that person down. I don't believe that you hate that person. I don't believe that you put those people beneath you. We have all sinned and come short of the glory of God. There's not a perfect person. What I'm talking about and what you strive to do is not duplicate and not multiply the mistakes over and over and over and over again. We cannot do anything about the 60 million lives that were lost. 60 million plus in this country. The thing is, you cannot have things both ways, and we're going to look at that because we have laws and we have legislature that's been passed already, the defense of the unborn in violence. And they call it the Lacey or Connor law. Lacey Peterson, her husband murdered her. and she was with child, and he was prosecuted for the harm of two individuals, mother and unborn child. And in that legislation, it is determined that the fetus has the right to life, and they make an exception for abortion. And then the pro-abortion crowd says that this is so dangerous because this can be used at some point in time to say that child has a right when it comes to abortion. If that child has the right to life, in one case it has the right to life in another. You can't have it both ways. Exodus 21. Verse 22. God's judgment on the matter. And this is just accidental. This is where God lies with it in a case of an accidental premature birth. We have an actual birth here, and then whether this birth deals with this child being alive or dead. If men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her. Did not say that the child died there. Correct? It just said that the fruit departed. That's premature birth. Yet no mischief follow. So nothing's wrong with the baby here. This baby comes out, and this baby can survive, and it can survive without any help. It has no ailments. And the Lord's going to cover them all. He shall be surely punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. Because he put them in a hard way. Judges are involved, and he has to pay according to this husband. But there's no mischief there. He's still got to pay for an inadvertent crime. Verse 23. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. Then it goes on to a man smiting a servant and what would happen to him. Well, we don't deal after the manner that God is dealing with Israel here. God's dealing with corporate Israel here, and God set up His laws, and we have our laws. We live in an age. We live in the age of the Gentiles, and God let us set up a government, and God let us set up a system of laws that we are to abide by, that we have a say in to determine what's right amongst a people. But when God was taking care of it, God said if it come out, if the eye is bad, somebody's losing the eye, somebody is going to have trouble in their mouth, the baby's going to have trouble in their mouth, and this man's going to have trouble in his mouth. If the baby dies, so that's the mischief, then he dies. Life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning. That is the context which judgment is mete out. There is nothing more precious than human life. There is nothing that God puts more value on than human life. A God that can display all of His glory and goodness in a sunrise. A God that can declare himself through his creation, chose man above all of that creation to return glory and praise and honor to him above all things. Chose a human being to bring glory to him and bear his image. Let us make man in our image, was the declaration from the Godhead at creation. This Defense of Violence of the Unborn Act of 2004, when it was passed, declares that that fetus is Homo sapien, is a human being, is a human soul, is alive, is a person that has the rights to life. And we've been given that right of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. You can't have it both ways. You have not a right to say on your own whether somebody lives or dies. Even where they have capital punishment in this land. No one person gets to declare that is what's coming. We voted in Ohio, and I don't believe that the law, I wasn't able to get out and vote. Able to make it in there. Didn't know that I would be in that state. Didn't vote beforehand. They voted on issue 1, which they wanted with issue 1 to change the law of the state of Ohio, that you needed 60% of a vote to overthrow an existing law. They've done away with Roe versus Wade, and all along abortion has not been legal, was never declared legal. For all the time, the 60 million plus babies that have lost their lives, was not legal. It was just determined that you couldn't impede somebody's right to choose to end that human life. Abortion is illegal in the state of Ohio. They're going to vote to turn that over. I don't think that issue 1 was the end all to the matter. Because if they don't get the majority of the votes, it didn't change anything. And I think that in and of itself, it had its own dangers. And I was asked one time, after a smart aleck manner, that because I made a comment about prohibition. And this one young man said, "Oh, would you be in favor of prohibition?" And I told him, "Yeah. If all of my state, if all the country voted on that thing, and the majority of people was against that, then I'm all right with that." And his end of the road for him. I was able to proudly say and tell people wanted to do it on a scale much larger than what I was able to do years back in the Philippines. And there was a quote unquote what they would call themselves a missionary stand up there, and I spoke in this church, and this guy stands up after me and goes up there and then begins to trash America. I want to go back up there so bad and take care of that. And he's like, "Did he tell you?" He didn't tell you, because I told him about there's something about America. There's something about America that's not like any other place. Oh, you want to talk about loving a people. There's nothing wrong with loving your country. Nothing at all. They have the outback out down in Australia, and they don't have that widely populated. They won't go out there. It's just the spirit and the way of the people. But Americans, they'll live in a place like that. Have you ever been down there to Arizona? You ever run across 40 into California, across that desert and drive across that desert? There's people living out there. They're crazy. I'm not saying they're not crazy. They'll tell you how hot it is in July. Remember in July, complained about how hot it is. It's 108 degrees. Yeah, you live in a desert. Yeah, it's going to get hot, folks. But the people of this land will go out there and they'll build whole cities. And that night I told him, the American people are wonderful, kind, giving people. Nostalgic, they love yesterday. You ever, even the junkie cars, you'll see some movie from the 80s and you'll see, a Chevy Celebrity, and you'll be like, "Oh man, Chevy Celebrities, I remember those." You're like, "Look at that, man, it's been so long since I've seen something like that." And you'll see a big old Oldsmobile station wagon in the background rolling by. It's like, "Oh man, I can remember rolling down the street and seeing things like this when I was a kid." And love it. So they're nostalgic, and they will help you. The people of this nation will help you. The people of this nation will give and give and give and give. Well, somebody needs help, and it's nobody going out there and working has a real problem with money being taken out of their paycheck to support people that need it. The poor in this country live better by far than hundreds of nations on this earth. It's a wonderful place. And this man gets up after me and he says, did he tell you that they're not allowed to pray in schools like here in the Philippines? And did they tell you that they have legalized abortion? No, we don't have legalized abortion. No, we had a Supreme Court determine something and push something out on the population. A small group of people, a panel of individuals declared that something could stand, that the American people had no vote, no say in. Now, 50 years later, at the point in time that he said that, the majority of the people of this nation would undoubtedly have voted it down had they been given the right to vote it down. And what a travesty that they weren't given the right to vote it down. And I could say that the people of this nation were not responsible for that decision. But if we vote in November, the people then are responsible for the crime. The voting public. We're accountable for our own actions. And every one of those yes votes will be guilty. And if the majority of the people of this state are gone on that subject, we've lost something precious. We've lost something right. We've lost something good. Life is valuable. I've went through a good measure of pain here lately, but I guarantee you, just in the pain that I went through, I've enjoyed my life. I've enjoyed this time. For right through this time here, I got my. There I am with Joanna, and I've invaded her apartment. And I was watching Joanna and Jasmine go in and out. There I am with the girls, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed that much of my crippled vacation. Joanna, you so. That's why I always called her Nasty Nana. Yes, Joanna just cut you up. I've enjoyed it. And enjoyed it the other day when Jay come over and to be there with them, to be there with my kids, my children. The best of my life. I don't care what I would have to go through in this life and know it. If I could have those three, I would do it to have them. To have that life. To steal it is tragedy. And with sin and tragedy comes judgment. And I don't want that for anyone. I don't want that for anyone. I don't want some young lady to live with regret because somebody said it was all right. I don't want her to think about what ifs. Oh, if the child's given away, they can always reunite and enjoy their lives together at some point when they're able to manage it. One of them stories is enough to sway me. I'm going to challenge you to pray and to pray and to pray. Pray for the people of this state. Pray that decision. Pray that we have a victory towards life. The Lord Jesus Christ said, I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. The author of life chose life for us. That should be good enough. Should be good enough. Father, we love you. We praise you and we thank you for your goodness.